Hello and a very warm welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I want to give you my opinion on the best 5 places in Sicily to buy real estate. Now in truth, many other places could have made it onto this list because Sicily is a beautiful island and property in most places is very cheap. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't include places like Taormina, and Taormina is absolutely amazing, but property is on average nearly €3,000 per square meter. And even Cefalù, which I know a lot of you would have also heard of, is around €2,350 per square meter, which although is not excessive, is not cheap either. But there were some other places I really almost included on the list, not least Giardini Naxos, wonderful place at an average of €1,550 per square meter, and also Messina, which is a lovely place too, at about €1,050 per square meter, but it is earthquake prone. There was a major earthquake in 1908, and Agrigento as well, where property prices are on average €935 per square meter. But coming in at number 5 is the city of Ragusa, and Ragusa is where the series Montalbano was shot. Now, I'm not sure if you've heard of Montalbano, but it's a very famous Italian series that went on for 20 years or so. And really, Ragusa is a lovely place, and property is very cheap at around €930 per square meter. If we look back to March 14, it was €1,478 per square meter. So you can see that property has dropped a lot in this part of Sicily, southeast of Sicily, where Ragusa is. And there are beaches nearby, but the nearest airport is Catania, which is about 100 kilometers away. So it is a fair trek to get to the airport. But the old town is absolutely wonderful. It's home to many Baroque buildings. And Ragusa does have 2 railway stations as well. And the center of Ragusa is part of a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So this is a lovely part of Italy. And Ragusa comes in 5th place. Now, coming in at number 4 is another really underrated city, and I love this place. It's Trapani, and it has a population of 67,000 people. It's got a lovely old town and ancient churches. And what's great is that the nearest airport is actually only 15 kilometers away from the center of Trapani. And there are a number of direct international flights, including London, Manchester, Brussels, Toulouse, Riga, Katowice, Warsaw, Bratislava, Sevilla, Karlsruhe as well, and Malta too. So you can see it is actually a very well connected airport. Although obviously if you're coming from other places in Europe you may have to change, but still I think this is a very lovely place. Now also what's great as well, prices are quite low. So we are talking around €900 per square meter on average, and that's very low for a place like Trapani, a beautiful place like Trapani. And prices have also come down. They were €1,100 per square meter on average in July 2014. So if we take both Trapani and Ragusa, and particularly in Ragusa, prices, if you include inflation, have dropped dramatically. So this could be a good place to buy. Now, coming in at number 3, and I think this is another undervalued city in Italy, it is the city of Catania. And Catania is located on Sicily's east coast and has a population of over 300,000 people. So it is quite a big city. And Catania is actually Sicily's second biggest city after Palermo. And prices are very cheap here for quite a major city in Italy, at an average of just over €1,200 per square meter. And look at the price drop. Back in 2014, they were actually over €1,700 per square meter. So in real terms, this is actually one heck of a decline in prices. So now, if you want to live here, it might well be a good time to buy. And Catania actually is Sicily's busiest airport, and it flies to many destinations across Europe, as well as Casablanca in Morocco, and also Dubai and Abu Dhabi in the UAE. Now, Catania, as I've said, is a very underrated city in Sicily, and as it's full of history, culture, nature, and there are a lot of events here as well. The city has a magnificent cathedral, a castle, lovely churches, palaces, a Roman amphitheatre, and also a sumptuous theatre, plus a lot of museums as well to visit. Now, the Old Town is actually a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it was also Catania, the home of some of Italy's most famous composers and writers, including Vincenzo Bellini and Giovanni Verga. Now, Catania has also many beaches nearby, so no complaints from that point of view. The only downside I will say of Catania is, of course, Mount Etna is nearby, and there's always a potential eruption going on. Now, number two, and I think for me this is actually my favorite city in Sicily, and it's actually the city of Syracuse. And as I've said to you before, this is an absolutely gem of a place. Now, it's price-wise just over 1,200 euros per square meter, which I think is rather cheap for the beauty of which it has. And it was around 1,400 euros or just under per square meter back in 2014. So prices again in real terms have dropped quite a bit. Now, the nearest airport is Catania, which is about 1 hour's drive away. So we are also potentially talking about 60 to 90 minutes by train. And the population of Syracuse is about 120,000 people. It is, as I say, an absolutely wonderful city. And it's got one of the largest ancient Greek theatres in the world. Now, what you also have an amazing Roman amphitheatre here, an amazing cathedral, temples, castles, many beautiful churches, and a very famous archaeological museum. Now, you may ask, what about beaches? Well, there are quite a few beaches nearby as well, so you're not going to be short of going to the beach here. And as I've said, at those prices, 1,200 euros per square meter, and also what is good here, the yields. If you decide to rent your property out, the yields are quite good. But as I've said before, in Italy, it isn't a great place to rent out property. I've said that in previous videos, but please do consider this place. It could be good for Airbnb. Now, as I've said, I think the only downside is that it's getting to the airport. The airport isn't too near. But that said, I actually think this is a gem, an absolute gem of a place in Sicily. So what's going to be the number one place? Well, the number one place, I think, and to buy property in Sicily is Palermo. Now, although Palermo is not my first choice, I think it could be a first choice for most people. Now, really, for a capital of an Italian region, prices in Palermo are incredibly reasonable at an average of only 1,300 euros per square meter. Furthermore, this is a very significant drop from where they were back in 2014. And in 2014, prices were actually over 1,800 euros per square meter on average. So this is, as I've said again, and I want to emphasize, because if you include inflation, if you factor in inflation, that is one hell of a drop. And Palermo is, as I've said, it is actually Sicily's most populous city with over 640,000 inhabitants. Now, Palermo is Sicily's also cultural, economic and tourism capital. It is steeped in history, culture, art, music and food. And what I like about Palermo is its beautiful churches, palaces and buildings which vary in eras. So we're talking notably Romanesque, we're talking Gothic, we're also talking Baroque and Art Nouveau. So really lots of history, lots of period history in this city. And Palermo has an international airport with many direct flights to cities across Europe. It also flies direct to Tunis, obviously in Tunisia, and Dubai as well. And I just want to emphasize how cheap I think prices here. Just think, prices on average here, as I've said, are 1,300 euros per square meter. And that's less than half of those in Naples. Now, in Naples, the average is 2,700 euros per square meter. So a similar city in the south, albeit Naples is a lot bigger than Palermo. But just think the prices are less than half of those in Naples. And if you're worried about beaches, don't worry. Palermo is also close to beaches, so you can have the best, I think, of all worlds here. So you've got the city, which is absolutely amazing, and you have the beaches as well. Anyway, that's it for today. I would love to know your thoughts on buying property in Sicily. Would you ever consider buying here? Where would you consider buying? And also, do you agree with my choices, or would you have put other places in? As I've said, for me, this was a very, very difficult video to make because I could have included so many other places. Anyway, thanks again, and I'll see you soon on the next video.